So hello everyone, welcome, yes, to a YouTube video, and yeah, thank you to everybody who's been sending in emails asking where I am, etc. I've just been exceptionally busy, but in a good way, supporting clients, of course, and trying to take time off over Christmas was pretty important to me, although you Americans never take time off. I was answering questions for some American clients over Christmas, but that's not the point of today. What's the point of today? I've been working on some really cool, what I think is cool stuff. Those of you who know that we've got an IPS toolkit, and that IPS toolkit really is more of a how can we build things in a structural way for things like an S1000D project? How do we define our SNSs? How do we build a DMRL? How can we select information codes, etc. Now, the problem with that is it was built on third-party software. Now, my mentor, if you're watching, Gary, always said to me, if we can own the technology, we should own the technology. So I embarked on a mission to build my own technology, and I've been doing this for a little while now. And those of you who came to TDW Live last year know that I built SpiralView, and SpiralView is a learning environment where students can see how processes, specifications, data and technology all talk to each other. And I've written some papers on my new websites. I've been working on new websites as well, and on why the legacy thinking of software in our market has to change. So go over and read those on Tech Data World and S1000D World. And but I showed SpiralView, and SpiralView showed us how we go from PLM data and how we can then migrate that into, or we connect it in a S-series environment, how we can then do some of our 3000L activities, and then how we do our 2000M activities, how we can do S1000D and 6000T and all of the good stuff in between. And I showed digital twin, digital thread, all in one environment. And I've had, I don't know how many emails asking me if I could show that tool within an organization, or B, would I be interested in selling that tool? And the answer is no, I'm not interested in selling that tool. And the reason is because I developed it kind of ad hoc. I had no plan. I was building it using AI, reading the specifications, what my customers were telling me, and some studying that I was doing on things like RCM, and then thinking how that weaves into a tool like that. So it was how my brain thought, and so I wouldn't want to sell that to an organization that was going to put a lot of money into data and data strategies. That being said, that got me thinking. Legacy IPS Toolkit, the new methodologies with SpiralView. I developed the new IPS Toolkit, which is something I've been posting on LinkedIn about, something I've been saying to my customers that I'm doing and I'm going to do. And we're migrating away from, well, we have migrated away from Mind Manager, which those guys were great, by the way. They were very supportive of what I wanted to achieve. And, they got the vision, and they helped me in the early days of the IPS Toolkit. But notwithstanding all of that, which I will be eternally grateful for, I'm very much in the, I'm a control guy. I like to have control over my own technology, my own software, my own websites, etc., etc. So therefore, I developed the new IPS Toolkit. And the IPS Toolkit is now a series of studios, and I have studios in there for S1000D, 2000M, 3000L, 10,000i, all of those specifications, but also wider disciplines. So AI studios, data analytics studios, and I wanted a tool that I could not only sell, but a tool that supports how I train and how students want to learn. So I developed capability inside the tool that allows us to visualize concepts, not only to look at how the specifications work in theory, which is fine, anybody can train on that, we can all read, and but actually contextualizing and showing and allowing students to be able to decipher what's going on, as well as projects that need to get started with things like our business rules. Which BRDPs are we going to use? Which specifications are we going to use? And then defining what we want from an IPS program, and then exporting that in the way that we used to with the old IPS Toolkit to things like the Raytheon software. So you could use their CSDB or any other CSDB that you wanted. Or we can create publication modules, and we can then take those to a publishing environment and use the IETP of choice that we want to use. So the IPS Toolkit is something that has been in my mind for probably 3 or 4 years now in terms of what I wanted it to do. It wasn't until I started realizing it with with SpecView, and reading the spec, making something, breaking something, and I've had probably 2 or 3 requests now, one kind of half request, on could I go into an organization and show them how I built SpecView. And full disclosure, I used AI, and now it's not just the case of going to AI and saying I want to build a tool and go build it. It's far more nuanced than that. You can't just go to an AI engine and say build me this. I'm going to do some tutorials on Spiral Learn. I'll put a link down below where how I used AI and the constraints I put on myself and some of the issues I found with using AI. I'm going to do some tutorials on Spiral Learn. So a link below, go create yourself an account. And when I release those tutorials, you'll see how I used AI to develop SpecView, and how I then made all of that digital twin, how I made all of that digital thread kind of work. And it worked. And if I changed something in 3000, how it concatenated and went all the way through to training, to tech docs, etc. So I really made an environment. Some of the comments I've had, you're the first person that's actually shown all of these things working together. Again, not with a view to sell this tool, because of the caveats I've just given you. But back to the IPS Toolkit. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the IPS Toolkit. I'm clearly going to be blurring some of the features out for obvious reasons. But what was one of the things I wanted to do? I wanted to take the S1000D example data, and I wanted to have a tool that I could leave with students, that not only do they have access to my slides, etc., they can then go back to and refer back to their issue or issues of S1000D, and they can see how it works from a mechanics perspective, in terms of or a mechanical perspective, how the data talks to each other. And why is that important? Because invariably anybody can come in and train on this stuff. I hold that view. We're all, I hope, fairly intelligent people. We can pick up these specifications and have a good stab at what they're saying and what they're doing. To really understand these specs is you have to, Peter Studard, somebody who I have known in the market for a very long time, I know you've retired now, said to me a long time ago, these specifications need studying, not just reading. And he was absolutely on the money with that. I have spent years analyzing what these specifications say. And if they're telling me to do something in the specification, what does that mean? So for example, 4000p, it says an awful lot, but I went and bought a whole load of books that I studied to try and understand why 4000p is trying to do something in a specific way. So then I can articulate that in a meaningful way to my students, my customers, etc. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to develop a tool that not only helps us configure and set up an IPS project, which is what the IPS Toolkit does. I wanted to migrate my customers who are currently using mind mapping capability in Mind Manager over to the new tool. Mind mapping and Ishikawa diagrams and all that is all inside the IPS Toolkit. So I'm not changing the way that you work, we're just changing the technology. And I wanted it to be cross-platform. What do I mean by that? I wanted it to work on Windows and I wanted it to work on Mac. So I've got customers that they love their Macs, but they have to have a Windows machine to work. These tools that I've created work on both. You can have a DMG that will run on a 64-bit Intel chip inside a Mac, older Macs, or in the new ARM chips if you want to use it on a Mac, or the Windows machines if you prefer to have a Windows machine. This is the first iteration of the tool. Again, I'm going to flick to the tool in a minute and show you how it works. Notwithstanding, I'm going to be blurring some stuff out. My question this week is, should I make a version of this, what I call the S1000D Navigator? Should I make it a free tool to the market that you can just download the IPS Toolkit and you can open up the S1000D samples, and the tool is configured in such a way that it extracts all of the S1000D data and it connects all of the points, and students can see where stuff is coming from and where it comes from. So the question is do I make that part of this tool free? And that's a conversation I'm having with Claire at the moment, is should we be doing this? I'm just going to flick you to my machine now and show you what I've done. Again, I am going to be blurring out an awful lot of the features on here because I just don't want to give away some of the stuff I'm working on because I know that it would be copied. Right, I am over on my machine now, and you can see that I have a dashboard. You can't see all of the dashboard, but now if I scroll, you can see that we have lots of studios. I'm not showing any of the advanced studios in this video. If I click on the S1000D studio, it now takes me into some stuff that you're familiar with in terms of the standard IPS toolkit, but actually it goes way more deeper now. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see I have something called SpecView. And SpecView is part of the project navigator inside our toolkit here. I click on it. Right now I've only configured it to work on these data sets, and these data sets are working in the background. So it's pulling all of the S1000D stuff. So if I just click on S1000D bike data here, you can see, if I make that a little bit smaller so you can see a little bit more what's going on. On the left hand side here, it's pulled in all of the S1000D stuff, and you can see that this is all being driven dynamically in the background. And what's happening here is this is now working. So students, this is all being driven from the S1000D download package. So if you download the S1000D package, this tool will work and it will just load it and show it working. I'm not going to go through all of the features here, but there are some features in here which are designed specifically to show other concepts, not just the S1000D bike data. So here I've got this data talking to an AI model, for example. So I can train people how we teach an AI model how to use this data. So these windows here, very simply, left-hand side is the folder structure, which are then categorized into schema types and the data module types. And we can look at applicability models. We can do all of those kind of things. The second column is our identification and status section. And, if I just look at, it's just extracting information from the code. The green ticks are saying that it's being extracted or found in our BREX modules. So I can switch on and off BREX modules, and it will tell me what is defined and what's not defined. And it will also tell me what if my BREX modules are daisy chained, because of course these are. And if I click on any of these green items, you can see it tells me what's inside my BREX module, and any of the definitions. If it's picking up definitions, students can look at the definitions that are coming from S1000D, not from me. Now, some of the other items that we can do inside this viewer, this is just a navigator. I can focus on just the content area if I want to focus on the content area, and I can also emulate an applicability model. So it will allow me to pull up the applicability model, and you can see it starts filtering for me in the background. Not because this is a CSDB, because it's not. This is just a navigator. It's showing me what the data is doing. I have a what you see is what you get view, pseudo view. I'm working on the style sheets at the moment. Ironically, that's the easiest part. The hardest part is all the stuff that I've shown you already. And on the far right hand side here is what I call the integrity and the digital thread of the S1000D data. So it's telling me what the internal links are, it's telling me what the external links are. So if I have a BREX module, it will tell me the BREX modules. It will tell me if I'm daisy chaining, it will tell me if there's applicability. It will tell me which publications it's been found in. And so now you can see, I hope you can see, there's some other things here like what style sheets are going on in the background here, how I developed style sheets to make that happen. All I'm trying to do is make this stuff more understandable to the students. So when I train now, I'm leaving a version of this tool with my students, so they can see long after I've gone, they can go back and have a look at the concepts using the official bike data. They can go and look at that. So now my question is, do you think it's useful? Do you think it's interesting? I mean, I think that's a rhetorical question. I think it's useful. I think it's interesting. It's not perfect yet. I'm still building this. And I've got a list of about 200 features I want to put in this, just this particular navigator on how S1000D works. And so let me know if you like the idea. Let me know if you think this is a cool idea. I've told you I've been busy. And yeah, the idea is that do I make a free version of that available? Certainly a lot of the features would be disabled. If I made a free version, for example, emulating applicability, would I want to give that away for free? I don't know. However, now, so if you want more information on the IPS Toolkit and what's going into it and how I'm working with the IPS Toolkit and how I'm, not so much how I'm developing it, because I'm going to do that over on Spiral Learn, just head over to my website, techdataworld.com or s1000dworld.com, and you'll see what's inside there. I've got a bucket ton of features that I'm going to put inside this. And just to help students understand how this stuff really works. In the wider IPS toolkit, in the commercial license tool, I've now got a clone capability, so you can clone the bike data. It will strip all the content out, and you can then start populating it with your own. A little wizard asks you some of the changes that you want to make, and it will go off and it will help you build an S1000D project. So that's what I've been working on. That's why I've been busy. And my wife keeps telling me I need to take some time off, but I just love what I do. I love this. And if you're interested in how I built this or something similar, Spiral View, I'll show you how I built Spiral View. Create an account on Spiral Learn, and there'll be some tutorials up there on what I did, what the gotchas were, the things that you can't just rely on AI to do for you, and then how I built it. If you want a trial of this, I've also licensed. I've got a license system in here, so I can give trials of this as well. So it is a fully fledged commercial piece of software that I have been wanting to develop for several years. So it's something I've been wanting to build for a very, very long time. And if you want a license of this, or you want to see or get a trial of this, go to our website, fill out the contact me form, and I'll add you to the list. Anyway, so there you go. I hope you found that useful. Hope you found it interesting. And I'm going to do my best. I'm working on another tool which is designed specifically for those that are attending one of my training courses, and how we take training beyond just being PowerPoint slides or whatever it is, in conjunction with this tool, how we can then put it together. So, and how we can then leave the classroom and leave you with something that is valuable in years to come, not just once I leave the classroom. Anyway, there you go. If you find it useful, interesting, please like, share, subscribe. Any comments, you know how to get in touch with me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. All of those kind of things. Speak soon.